Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to your prediction for 2021. And I know I've been gone for a while and I missed a couple releases. I'm sorry. I was called into the nature and I had to accept the calling, and of course I was not able to produce content, so this is a little bit late. It's halfway through January already, and I hope you've had a beautiful entrance into the year. And I decided it's not really worth doing a video just for the full moon coming up, but also for the whole year of 2021. So here's your year prediction. It's a general prediction for all signs. I hope you enjoy. Stay tuned. So 2021 is a 5 universal year, and 5 is all about shifting, changing, transforming. I mean, if you look at the numbers on your hands, right, 5 goes from one hand to the other. It's a complete paradigm shift. It's all about that change. It's all about unlocking and moving to the next level. Anything is possible within this 5 numerology. And this is the thing, we're collectively co-creating, isn't it? So we've got all of these energies to work with. I can predict the energies, we can look at the astrology, we can look at the cards, we can look at what's coming through. But what we choose to do with those energies, that's up to us, right? So make good choices. Anything is possible. So what do you wish to manifest and create? What intentions are you placing into this year? And how are you choosing to work with the energies available to us, right? 2020 was an intense one. There was a lot of challenging astrology to work with. 2021 is not free of challenging astrology, but it's definitely easier. We've got some lighter moments and we have a lot of potential for shifting, transforming, and changing in a powerful and positive way. There is a lot of potentiality for adventure this year, so I would say be playful, be adventurous, and if you get the opportunity to travel, I think travel is going to start opening up in a big way again. I would say go on that adventure. Take the plunge. Dare to dream big. We're also moving from this theme of earth energy. A lot of our major planets were in earth, a lot of Capricorn energy, and we're moving into this theme of air energy, and air overall, but Aquarius mostly, and most of us know we're in the age of Aquarius. There's a lot of debate about where that starts, right? Doesn't really matter. The point is that we have this air theme going on. And air opposed to earth, right? Earth is stability, earth is grounding, earth is slow change, right? Earth doesn't like to move. It moves very slowly. It barely seems as though it's moving at all. Whereas air shifts and moves and transforms and changes and flows. It's unpredictable. It's unstable. And so we must learn to surrender to the shifting and the changing, and to allow this to become our new stability. That ability to adapt, to change, to shift, to move, to allow our old structures to fall and to crumble, and we start building new structures in its place. And even those new structures will start to resemble our old structures, and then we must shift and transform them again. We're also moving from a theme last year of cardinal signs into a theme of more fixed signs and also some mutable signs. And those cardinal signs were really about getting things going, getting things moving, starting the shift, starting the change, getting a slow moving body to pick up its momentum, which can be a bit harsh and drastic and difficult, right? But now we're sitting with those fixed signs, which can feel a little less harsh. It can feel a little less like a shake-up. It's still shifting and changing and transforming, but there is a little bit more of a gentleness to it. Of course, with our theme of Uranus square Saturn, it's not super, super gentle. We are moving from the structures of hierarchy into a more of a form of networks, right? Hierarchy being that very earth thing, networks being about that air. Networks are less stable, they're more shifting and changeable. So we have to get used to working within this new paradigm. And the thing about hierarchy, it can feel safe, it can feel protective, but it can also be a cage, it can be a trap, it can be oppressive. And so we're breaking that open and allowing those pyramids to fall, right? And become the networks. One of our saving graces this year is Neptune is in Pisces. And Neptune is at home in Pisces. And this is really that calling to reach higher levels, reach new heights of our spirituality. Negatively aspected though, this can be a space of delusion, a space of illusion, a space where people can have the wool pulled over their eyes. So watch out for this. Find that happy balance between seeking those new heights and dwelling in those spiritual truths, but not being blinded by them and not being disillusioned through that. So Uranus is going to be in Taurus until 2025. And this is going to cause still quite a lot of shake-ups within our marketplaces, within our financial situations, and eventually this is going to shift into an air sign as well. And, Uranus brings that shake-up, it brings that revolution. So we're going to have very, very unpredictable markets. They're going to go up and they're going to go down. This is going to be in cryptocurrency as well. Gold, silver, all of these things. It's going to plummet and fall and go high and then go low again. And I feel like this ties in with that 5 universal year, because 5 points in both directions, right? It goes this way or this way. And it's unpredictable. It rocks. It sways. It's not got a stable foundation, right? So what do we do with that? What do we do with that rocker? Which direction do we point? Which direction do we look in? And we have a theme of the North Node being in Gemini. And with that North Node in Gemini theme, we're going to see quite a shift and a transformation within our educational systems, right? Gemini is ruled by Mercury. This is education, communication, also our communication systems. Already we've seen many of these great shifts within our communication systems, but this is going to continue. This is going to keep shifting, evolving, and growing. This theme of Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus, this is going to happen for the next 2 years. And this is going to cause, especially around the time where it's coming into that perfect square, it's going to cause riots, protests, social movements. It's really just, it's a shake-up of the old structures. And we saw a lot of this last year, and it was quite violent last year. And this year I feel it's going to be more of a positive change. It's going to certainly cause unrest, discomfort, right? But we need that unrest and that discomfort in order to shake things up and to change them. Otherwise, we're just going to stay in the old structures. And in order to shift and transform into new structures, we need that little bit of discomfort so that people can get up, stand up for what's right. I think we're going to see the fall of governments. I think we're going to see the rise of new governments in those places. And we're going to see the rise of idealistic viewpoints, which really is tied in with that Aquarius theme, right? Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, is absolutely about idealism. And it's a concern for the collective, a concern for the all, a concern for shifting things into a better future. And I also feel it's an ecological concern. It's understanding that we're interconnected. This is also why networks work, because we are interconnected. We already are networks. Hierarchy doesn't really make sense. It's not really the structure of nature, isn't it? Alright, so for January, we have just already moved through Capricorn New Moon, which was a little bit challenging, a lot of fear facing. And we still have coming up this month Mercury going retrograde in Aquarius. And this is going to, as always, cause communication difficulties, misunderstandings, problems with logistics. And then we have a full moon in Leo on the 28th, and on this day I will be live on a show, a radio show called Scrolls of the Souls, run by two beautiful women. So I hope to see you there. We will be talking about shifting the world into heart-centered living. And so January is a time of new beginnings, and it's a time of new creative projects. It's a time of checking in with those creative projects and placing new action, a new energy within that action, stepping consciously into that energy, being conscious that we're already in that pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde, right? So we need to be cautious and understanding about how we express to people, and about how sometimes maybe what we say is going to be misunderstood. It is time to turn over a new leaf. It is time to believe in your dreams. It is time to believe in your passions, and it is time to make use of your intellectual capacities with caution, and to make plans and to execute those plans step by step, one thing at a time, surrendering to the little mistakes, surrendering to the little misunderstandings, surrendering when the Wi-Fi doesn't want to work, surrendering when there's no network, surrendering when there's a power cut, surrendering, breathing, reminding yourself what is real, and looking at the little annoyances in life, because they'll be present, and recognizing that it's not the end of the world. Just pick up the pieces that are left, move on, forgive, let go. January is a time for setting plans into motion with caution, which doesn't mean they don't move. We're just not full steam ahead. We're just not trying to make everything happen all at once. One thing at a time. Alright, February is quite special because we have a stellium of 7 planets gathering in Aquarius, and if we were ever dealing with so much Aquarius energy, this is the time. In February we're going to see innovation, we're going to see things moving forward. Of course, we still have Mercury retrograde. It's going to go direct on the 20th, so for the first part of the month it may seem slow, but things really want to push forward, and the idea generation is still happening. It just feels a bit clogged. We also have the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter and Saturn all in Aquarius. On the 11th of February, we have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, as well as a new moon in Aquarius. And this is a great time for new beginnings. It's a great time to plant the seeds of the new beginnings. It's a great time to check in with the dreams. It's a great time to start the wheels rolling on new projects, but still be cautious about the fact that it's Mercury retrograde. And after Mercury stations direct on the 20th, we're still in the post-shadow phase for a little while, so things are not quite flowing exactly as they should just yet. And by the time we have the full moon in Virgo on the 27th of February, things should be easing up a little bit, and we have great capacity for intellect, for study, for learning, for receiving new information, for generating wealth. And it's a time to get buckled down and get things going. Put the work in. And balance the physical, material work out with the spiritual, emotional work. Always keep these two things in balance and in harmony. Because if you're going to overwork in a physical capacity to try and generate income and not give yourself that time that you need to process, to feel, and to receive divine revelation, because there is definitely a portal opening up of information coming through, new information, new drastic realizations and understandings of the world around us and how we can shift and change that, but also of mystical understandings and knowledges, and these things integrate and come together in powerful ways. I predict that in something in February, something big is going to happen. Something drastic that's going to shift the direction of our world as we know it. It's not being entirely clear exactly what, and it can go in a number of different directions. It's about how we respond to it. So let us approach this with compassion and with a readiness to shift and change the world in powerful ways towards heart-centered living. I call upon you, light workers, to approach this with consciousness, with love, to face the fear and allow it to dissolve. March. On the 13th of March, we have a new moon in Pisces, and then on the 28th of March, we have a massive super moon in Libra, bringing through balance. That super moon is going to be supercharged. We've got, again, air energy happening, and then of course that new moon in Pisces, that connection to the collective, that connection to our emotion, to our dreams. May we dream big at this new moon in March. And may we stand up for justice. May we stand up in whatever way and capacity that we feel around this super moon. I do feel that there are protests brewing. They may not erupt at this time just yet, but the meetings are being held. People are coming together. People are wanting to see the justice balance out. People are wanting to see the hierarchical structures fall. People are wanting to see resources shared equally, shared as a common thing, shared within communities, where the land is no longer seen as owned by an individual, but seen as owned by a collective, by us all, and that the responsibility of looking after that land and the people, of course, is a collective responsibility. May we learn to shift into the recognition that every step we take is sacred. May we shift into this. There is some aggressive energy afloat this month of March, but If utilized correctly, this aggressive energy can be transformed into a productive energy that helps to turn things around financially, that helps to shift the way we view resources and shift the way we view wealth and materiality. There is an ending in this month. There is a necessity to walk away from something unhealthy. Please know that it is safe to do so. Please know that new doors open as you close those doors and leave the unhealthy situation. Some of you are leaving relationships. Some of you are leaving old jobs. Some of you are finding your job is no longer aligning with your spiritual purpose. Walking away from that. If you're feeling that urge in the month of March to walk away from something that is no longer serving you in your higher purpose, and therefore the highest purpose of all, walk away from it. Trust. Know that this is the right thing to do. And wealth will surely follow. Abundance will surely follow. And you know, when I say wealth, I don't mean, oh, you're going to turn into this capitalist multi-millionaire, right? This is old paradigm thinking. This is surely falling. This is surely something that is shifting. By wealth, I mean the wealth of the earth. By support, I mean the support of the earth. Around every corner that you turn, when you need a meal, the meal is provided. As long as you are in the flow and listening to those inner calls, no longer shall we feed into this capitalist system. This capitalist system is shifting and changing and transforming, and we are laying the new foundations. And sometimes we lay new foundations and we need to relay those new foundations because they start to represent the old ones, right? Down with the hierarchies, shifting into the new. It is necessary for you to be objective when making decisions. It is necessary for you to consult with the emotions, but don't make a decision entirely from the emotions. Bring in the intellectual capacity. Bring in the logic and the rationality as well. Bring these two into coherence. Tap into what feels right, and then mix in that logic and understanding. Still bring in the budgeting, right? Still bring in the conscious decision making. You are also being called to see the humor in the situation. Sometimes when we're frustrated, it's necessary to see the humor. Alright, April. In the month of April, on the 11th, we have a new moon in Aries. Tapping into our personal power, stepping into our power, finding that power is not necessarily loud and angry and aggressive, that power can be calm and subtle and peaceful. And on the 27th of April, we have another supermoon. We actually have 4 supermoons this year, 4 in a row. A super full moon in Scorpio. This is bound to be intense. I don't recommend going out on this night. I recommend staying in. I recommend embodying the hermit at this point. I recommend shining the light within self, asking yourself what needs to be seen, released, heard, held, given space, even if it's anger, even if it's sadness. Allow it to come to the surface, allow it to be exposed, allow it to sit down and have a cup of tea with you, hear it out, and then release it and let it go. There's definitely a little bit of love in the air this month. For those of you already in relationships at this point, it's maybe a good time to spend some time together, rekindle the romance, stare into each other's eyes. For those of you looking for love, maybe go out, just not on the full moon. I would say sometime between the new and the full moon, go out and meet some people. Of course, for those of you, if there are still restrictions and lockdown, do so consciously, and maybe it's online that you go out. And for a lot of you, you set out goals and dreams at the beginning of the year. You checked in with them again in February, And now you're quite focused on, this is the thing I'm growing, this is the thing I'm creating. And I just want to warn you not to be too stubborn about how this thing appears and how this thing looks and what route you take to get there, right? Just keep an open vision, an open mind about how these things can appear. And when new opportunities are presented to you, just hear them out and then feel through them and think through them. Don't just close the door immediately because it doesn't look the way you expected it to look. Sometimes things are going to be presented in a way that's even better than you could have imagined. So just check in, because you'll feel it. You'll feel it if it's the right move. You will feel it. Things are really going to speed up for you at the end of this month. Things are going to move forward quite quickly after the full moon in Scorpio. So I really recommend that you sit with that full moon Scorpio energy on the 27th. Be conscious about it so that when things speed up and it's like that downhill stampede, that you have released whatever aggressive emotion you need to release, so that you don't end up getting caught up in that rush of energy, right? Be conscious within that rush of energy. May. On the 11th of May, we have a new moon in Taurus. This is a good time for you to check in with how it is you are dealing with your resources and your relationship with your resources. Are you being possessive? Are you being trusting? And take a moment of pause here before you rush forward too quickly, because there is this energy of moving forward, but you want to be moving forward in the right direction for you. And you know what? There isn't only one right direction. There are a number of right directions and a number of different directions which will lead you to the same end goal. So be conscientious about which path you want to take, because some will be more rocky, some will flow easier. And you know what? Sometimes the rocky path allows you to have more inner growth. So that's okay if you take the rocky path, right? That's fine. You might take a little bit longer to get there. You might have to change your wheel on the way there. But hey, then you've learned how to change a wheel. And in the future, if you accidentally end up going on a rocky path, you know how to deal with it. That's okay too. On the 13th of May, Jupiter enters Pisces, and this is a golden opportunity to manifest abundance and to tap into dreams and to manifest your dreams. Or utilize this energy productively, and that's why it was so important on the 11th to check in with those goals and to check in with your relationship that you have with money, finance, and possessions, the material world, right? And recognizing the material world as a vibration of the spiritual, and that there is actually more beyond that material world, working with the vibration and the energy behind these flows. And Jupiter is going to be in Pisces until the 28th of July. So this is a really magnetic time. And, you know, it's great to be watching this at the beginning of the year, because you can plan ahead. Wow, this is a good time for me to throw this event, or to have that meeting, or to, you know, maybe I need to be setting all the groundwork right now so that by the time that time rolls on, I can fully receive the rewards of all of the work I've put in leading up to that point. This is a moment of dream realization. On the 26th of May, we have a total lunar eclipse supermoon in Sagittarius. This is a huge shift, transformation, overhaul, revolution, shaking up of our humanitarian ideals. And it's fiery. It's in Sagittarius. And it's a supermoon. It's really close. It's big. This is some ground shaking revelations. This is ground shaking dream manifestation. Be intentional about where you want the collective to shift towards. You are an integral part of the collective energy. And at this time you are reaching new levels of intuition, new levels of touching your emotional self and reaching those emotional levels. And you know what? Some of what needs to be released is not just joy and happy and rainbows and fluffy bunnies. There's old depressions re-emerging, resurfacing, asking to be released. For some of you it's ancestral work, for some of you it's ancestral trauma that's resurfacing and needs to be released out of your body. We are healing ancestral lines at this time, healing collective energies. This is very important work. And so it can feel a bit like hitting rock bottom when you reach that point. I want you to remember when you go there and when you feel it emerge, you are doing this purging for the whole collective and for your whole ancestral line. And I want you to know it will end, and I want you to allow the space for it to be heard, for it to be seen, for it to be released. Allow yourself the necessary rest when it emerges so that you can regain your strength and integrate those new lessons so that you can re-emerge anew and start a new bloodline, a cleansed bloodline, a new relationship with yourself, with your ancestry, with the collective. This is a powerful healing portal that opens up at this time. Do tap in. And you know, it's interesting because it's happening both within a material sense in terms of you can generate a lot of success, but there's going to be the challenge of this emotional work that needs to happen, this laborious emotional work that needs to happen. And so we're going to sit with both the energies of joy, expansion, happiness, as well as the depression, the sadness, the release, the difficulty. But this is so necessary for this to be present. On the 29th of May, we have Mercury stationing retrograde. You guys know about Mercury retrograde already. Be cautious around communication, be patient, be calm, be conscious through this time. When things don't go according to plan, just surrender. Just surrender. Do not lose your temper. And if you do, also forgive and be patient. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. What does June have in store for you? On the 10th of June, we have a new moon annular solar eclipse in Gemini at 19 degrees. And as you know, eclipses set things into motion for 6 months ahead, and eclipse season is intense. It's about shifting, it's about changing, and this is a theme of the year because we have this Aquarius theme and we have this air theme, and then of course the eclipse is happening in Gemini, a fellow air sign, and then we have Mercury retrograding in Gemini. So we have all of this uphaul and shifting and changing within educational systems and the way we view education and the way we formalize education, and the way that we restructure those structures and again restructure them. I feel like it's going to happen a couple times, you know. On the 14th, we have Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. We know about this energy. This is the upsurgence of protesting, and hey, maybe the protesting is going to be around education and the sharing of information and the way information is spread in the media and the fairness of this information and who controls the information sharing. Saturn, Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus, it's also going to be about resources. It's also going to be about shared resources. And you know, I spoke about the plans for that happening and the checking in with how we believe things should be structured. This is really where things are breaking out and people are really standing up for what they believe in. And I really want to encourage you to do so, but to do so from a healthy space and to give as much energy as is healthy for you, and just to keep putting yourself first, because having a whole healthy nourished vessel, right? Physically feeding yourself, physically loving yourself, spiritually energizing yourself through meditation, etc., etc. You are far more powerful when you come from that space than when you run yourself empty and dry. Mercury is going to station direct on the 22nd of June, and then on the 24th of June we're going to have another super full moon in Capricorn. And with this super full moon in Capricorn, we're really revisioning how we lay down new structures. And we're really looking forward. We're starting to lay the sort of kernels of the foundations of a new structure within our own lives, but also collectively as a species, as a humanity, as an earth organism, as connected to all of it, as recognizing ourselves as guardians of the earth, as guardians of the animals, and while they are also, of course, guardians of us in the spirit realms. I see a lot of good fortune this month of June for you in terms of romantically. Maybe some of you are going to have proposals. For those of you in relationships, those relationships are growing closer. Sometimes this is referring to friendships as well, friendships becoming closer, learning the importance of forgiveness within relationships, learning the importance of being able to see that we are all human beings with both light and dark, and that we all make mistakes, and when we see the mistakes of others, we're seeing the reflection of ourselves as well, and we must come at that with compassion. The wheel of fortune is really turning. Of course, we have Jupiter still in Pisces. Things are really looking up, but this is really hinged upon your ability to recognize that when there is a loss in some arena, whether it be emotional or physical, material, financial, when there is a loss, you need to recognize new doors are opening up, and there's a reason for that loss. Let it go. And the longer you spend moping on the loss, which is not to say don't mourn, you need to release and purge, of course, acknowledge how you're feeling, don't bury it, because then it's just going to get worse. But recognize that when you focus on, oh, I lost out, oh, I lost out, oh, I lost out, then you're not seeing the new glorious opportunities that are opening up. And I think this is really very specific in terms of relationships, where 3 doors close, another 7 open or more. Infinite possibilities lie before you in this month of June. July. On the 9th of July, we have a new moon in Cancer. This should be a nice, deep feeling, loving new moon, and will certainly provide the opportunity to build new bridges within relationships, not only with yourself, but also in the physical realm, in terms of making plans with your partner, whether that be a business partner or a love romantic partner, building new bridges of understanding with each other. And on the 12th of July, we have Venus coming conjunct with Mars in Leo, so we really have this ignition of passion between the sexes, or the same sexes, or whoever it is you choose to love, or whom you feel attracted to. There is this divine ignition. And we still have Jupiter in Pisces at this point. So it really is a powerful, powerful moment for romance. There is necessity around this time to take some rest, to check in with all the work you've done, to check in with how much you've accomplished and achieved, and just take a moment, take stock, congratulate yourself for the work you've done, recognize the work isn't done, there's still more to do. And do watch out for some flaring of egos. And this, this can also happen with that Venus-Mars conjunction in Leo, because this is very fiery, right? And it's also a bit of ego. It's a bit of ego there. So just be careful that those passions are igniting in empowering ways, and that you're not allowing your passion for fighting to come out, because that can happen as well. It's really necessary for you to take some rest. It's really necessary for you to integrate. It's really necessary for you to take stock at this time. Hopefully you'll be able to go on vacation. Maybe travel will be allowed at this point. I have a feeling. But see if you can get yourself into nature and just check in with how you're feeling in this moment. Some of you will be releasing emotion. Some of you are feeling a bit betrayed, maybe by yourself, maybe by a partner, maybe it's childhood stuff that's coming up at this point, but there is a need to forgive something. On the 23rd, we have a full moon in Aquarius. Again, with that Aquarius energy, and of course we have many of the outer planets in Aquarius. We have this Aquarius theme this year. And so this full moon is a good time for you to just check in with how you feel with the general energies of this year, and use this time to allow yourself to think through and feel through what the next steps are and how you visualize things moving forward, because already by this time a lot will have shifted and changed and transformed, and it will be necessary for you to ask, well, are we on the right track? What is working? What is not? Taking stock. And then on the 28th, Jupiter is moving back into Aquarius, and so that Aquarius energy is again highlighted, and it's really loud. Alright, we have some magic in August. On the 8th, we have a new moon in Leo. And then we have meteor showers from the 11th to 12th, which is really just sparking joy, and it's really just this dream come true kind of energy. And then on the 22nd, we have a full moon again in Aquarius. More Aquarius energy. You're being asked this month to make a judgment call, to realign with your higher self. Your higher self is calling you to remove another layer of your programming, to step up to a higher level, to raise your vibration even higher. This is a very important task. You are being called to ever new, ever higher heights of your evolutionary process. And the biggest mistake you can make is to ever think you are done and finished with that process. That's when the ego is coming back into play, isn't it? I see a lot of financial stability this month, a lot of luck in terms of the job space and the workspace and working with earth magic. And there is this sense of completion around a project, around a physical manifestation project, perhaps to do with work, or if you work contracts, there's one contract coming to an end and a new one is coming through, and so there's this new beginning in how you're creating, and maybe you're going to bring in a new approach with how you tackle your projects, how you tackle your work, and how you view this as a resource, and how you bring healing energy into those spaces as well. Tap into the magic this month of August. And do reignite your passions as well. There is this burning creativity that is just wanting to be released, and release this in empowering ways. September. This is a good year for relationships, eh? A very good year for relationships, and this month is no exception. I see relationships coming to new heights, and this is always reflected by the relationship within self. So as you take the relationship with yourself deeper, as you empower yourself more, so do you empower those relationships around you. And as you rely more on yourself to nourish your own needs, and allow the people whom you are in relationship with to be free to do that for themselves as well. So we build ever new and healthier relationship dynamics where we're not needy, but we just hold the space and help each other and allow what needs to be revealed within those spaces. So in September on the 6th, we have a new moon in Virgo, and this is a good time for you to check in with your goals, to check in with your diligence, to check in with your discipline. How much time are you putting into your goals, into your projects? How much time are you putting into organizing things? And how are you allowing this to become a healthy, ever-growing process? On the 20th, we have a full moon in Pisces. A Pisces full moon is always one of my favorite energies personally as a Virgo sun. It's my opposite sign, and I just find it such a wholesome, healing, beautiful energy. And Pisces allows us to feel deep, it allows us to feel into the collective, it allows us to be connected and in touch with emotions, with dreams. Of course, negatively aspected, that Pisces energy can also be about illusion and delusion. So make sure you're grounded, access that Virgo sun energy. And then on the 27th, we have Mercury stationing retrograde yet again for the third time this year, and every year it's 3 times. And I really want to take a moment to just remind you of the power of understanding the Mercury retrograde energy and how you can utilize it to your advantage instead of allowing it to be this thing that has power over you where you go, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, and then you blame every bad thing that happens in this period on Mercury retrograde, right? It is a time for us to sink into patience and compassion, and it is a time for us to practice our ability to surrender to what is. When things don't go according to plan, that's okay, it's still according to the divine plan. Sometimes the plans we make are not exactly aligned with the divine plan, and we have to accept each moment as it's unfolding as that perfect and beautiful way for it to be unfolding. So much opportunity for love and romance and really building that relationship, for really embedding those soulmate relationships and understanding them on deeper levels, for really integrating them with spirit, bringing in that third aspect. This is a very joyful month. There's a lot of ability for expression of love, expression of dance, of creativity, of passions, of desires, of playfulness. The only thing that really seems to stand in your way this month is your thinking around the relationship with abundance. Really just check in with that relationship around what abundance means, and make sure you're not placing walls around yourself that block you energetically from receiving and from flowing and from really tapping into that delicious, playful sun energy. October. On the 6th of October, we have a new moon in Libra, again calling into question justice and equality and equity and what is fair in social environments. On the 20th, we have a full moon in Aries. I would recommend staying at home this full moon in Aries. I would recommend checking in with your personal power, checking in with how you feel. I feel that a lot of egos could be flaring at this point. There could be a lot of fighting. There could be a lot of aggression out on the streets. And on the 23rd, Mercury will be stationing direct. And I think that these sort of flaring of egos and difficulty around the full moon is definitely going to be linked in with that Mercury retrograde, miscommunications, assumptions, jumping to conclusions, and then losing tempers, these kinds of energies. If you remain grounded and practical and take things just step by step, just slowly at your own pace, this is really going to prevent those kinds of flares. There is going to be a moment, an emotional moment of release for you. And I want you to allow those emotions to bubble up when they need to. It's very important for you to bring in that grounding energy as you are dreaming about your future and dreaming about what you want to create and checking in with your current dreams in order for you to stay grounded within this reality as well. Don't get too lost up there in the clouds. And this can be one of those typical energies of Aquarius. We have a lot of this Aquarius energy going on. And Aquarius is an air sign, but it's the water bearer, and it's kind of like clouds, and sometimes there can be this clouded vision that comes with it, and there can also be this kind of pessimism. So bring in the practicality, bring in the groundedness. Don't stop dreaming, but initiate your dreams with some practicality, and also make your dreams believable, right? You can expand your dreams as your belief expands. But if you're going to make a wish and not believe that that wish is able to manifest, right, then it's not going to manifest because you don't believe in it. So make your dreams and goals, you know what, have the big dream that you don't really believe in yet, have that, but break it down into some smaller chunks, into chunks that you do believe in, and start with one and then do the next and then do the next. Again, this energy of fears surrounding money, right? This is what I was talking about in September as well. Again, this is coming up in October. Your fears around money, around abundance, around support, your fear of unworthiness, these things are blocking you. So do that emotional release work. Release the programs you received as a child. Release the programs that your parents embedded upon you. Don't blame them for it. It's the same beliefs that were embedded within them. And there are certain things that they've learned to unlock from their parents' generations, right? Certain things that they've released. And so each generation has new things to release and release so that we can step into a more empowered bloodline. And as you do this healing and release work for yourself, you do it for the entire bloodline in both directions. You release for the past, you release for the future. It is all now. What you're doing now is so important. November. Alright, in November on the 4th we have a new moon in Scorpio. And then on the 19th we have a full moon and partial lunar eclipse. Final lunar eclipse of the year in Taurus. And so again we're calling into question all of these ideas around money, support, abundance, wealth. And I feel like on a collective level this is something that's really shifting profoundly. This month you are going to be tested. You're going to be tested by temptations to fall into old ways of thinking, temptations to fall into old unhealthy habits you've already cured and curbed, and you need to face them again and say no again. Don't fall back into the old traps, the lessons you've already learned, because then you're going to have to go through that same cycle again. And what for? You've already been there. Let it go. Recognize that it's all ego. Recognize that you are perfect, whole and complete, and that it's okay that you went through that journey and you have no need to go through it again. Beware the temptations to fall into old patterns. This temptation is really going to make you feel a little bit trapped in an old cycle, trapped in something you thought you were free from and now you have to tackle again. And you are not trapped, you are free. The only thing that makes you feel trapped is your thinking around the situation. Shift your perspective and all else shifts. Spend some time in meditation and watch as the storm clouds clear and the silver lining appears, and you are reminded of the eternal nature of your soul, and that nothing fear-based can have power over you without your permission. You are not trapped by this. You are in fact so powerful. Step into that power, step into that knowing, step into that subtle control. And control is not grasping. It's not trying to control everything. It's going, oh, there's a situation over there. What shall I do about that? All right. We'll send this energy. Oh, all right. This requires some attention. Okay. It's not allowing the outer circumstances to have power over how you feel. Stand up for what you believe in, but do not do so with anger. Do so with a groundedness. Do so with love. Do so with compassion. Stand up for what you believe in. Your voice is very important at this time. The justice scales are tipping in favor of truth, but all of us need to speak the truth. And please do remember, there are multiple truths. All of this energy is going to be super intensified by that eclipse, so don't fly off the handle. Step into the power, step into the knowing, stand stable and firm upon your feet. Breathe deep and pull energy from the nature. December, we have our final solar eclipse of the year, also happening in Sagittarius, and that is happening on the 4th. Obviously it's a new moon. This is what's required for the solar eclipse. We also have another meteor shower, all of this magic raining down upon the earth. We have a calling in for balance universally, and I feel like this has been a calling of the entire year. And even though we have that 5 number, which is not a balanced number, it's an odd number, it's a tipping of the scales, it's a tipping of the scales, and it's a calling for a new kind of balance. On the 18th we have a full moon happening in Gemini. And we have this reflection upon how we use information, how media has used the information. We have a revealing of truths. We have an innate understanding. We have new contracts coming into play. We have new governments coming into play. We have new beginnings. Of course, December is the end of a year. We have this immense sense of completion, of achievement, of goals having been reached. And therefore new cycles beginning, new opportunities beginning as we start to enter into 2022. We also have our final Saturn Aquarius square with Uranus and Taurus happening on the 24th. Again, we can have this upsurgence of riots and revolution and shifting and changing, and this is the final one of the year. And so may we all remain super balanced within ourselves as we move through this shift and this change. And may we call in some true equity within the lands, among the people. May we begin to see each other as true equals. May we begin to respect each other in more deepened and profound ways. On the 19th, we also have Venus stationing retrograde in Capricorn. And so working with that divine feminine within ourselves, allowing the feminine to slow down, to recuperate, and to get herself ready to rise. That feminine within us all, may she rise, and may she shift the old patriarchal systems, the tradition, the traditional viewpoints, and may we shift into something more holistic, more new, wholesome. May we shift into a consciousness by the end of this year, a consciousness of understanding how to share our resources, how to love each other, how to build something collectively, together, something beautiful, something we can all share in. These are the visions, these are the potentialities. This is what I am manifesting as well. Of course, let's not be naive, there are darker forces at play as well. And as old structures fall and crumble, new regimes will want to come into place and take over. This is why it's important for us to all speak our truth and to do this work of raising our vibrations at this time. We have this immense opportunity to shake things up this year. Surrender to it, light workers. And let us co-create something meaningful, something beautiful, something equitable, something balanced, socially, racially, gender, all of these things. May we create a new world. May we integrate many of the lessons of 2020. And may we overcome any of the dark narratives. May we reveal all of the dark truths that need to be revealed so that they may be purged, so that they may be surfaced and healed. Wishing you all the most beautiful 2021. If you did enjoy that, please do hit like, please hit subscribe. I'd really love to stay in contact. Of course, if you would like a personal reading with me, please drop me an email. Everything will be linked below. And I do a live session on IGTV, Instagram Live, on my Instagram account at LunAscention, the same name as my YouTube channel, every Tuesday evening, 8:30 p.m. GMT +2 or UTC +2. And I would love to see you there. It's quite a different space because, of course, I'm reading the energies that show up there, and it's live, so there's no editing. And please join me on Facebook. I do run some events there. My next event is happening on the 24th of January. Very much looking forward to that. We'll be speaking about addiction and addiction patterns and how to overcome that. And please join me on TikTok. I'd love to see you there. I'm putting out some energy medicine in that space, which is quite fun. Really enjoying the platform, and thank you for watching. All the best for this beautiful year.